lower your frequency. Nope. Lower your expectations. Don't do that. Don't do that. We just spent a whole episode talking about raising your mood. Just drop it. Take it through the ground. Have some alcohol, some coffee. You'll be good.
It's Friday. You do what you want.
Welcome back to Living Magic. We are your hosts, Catherine Middlebrooks.
And Kyla Jenkinson.
And
we are so excited and have so much energy today because it's spring out.
Spring is coming. But today we have a very exciting topic to talk about, and that is the power of ceremony. So I think in order to do that, we should just take a minute and create the ceremony of this podcast and take a breath. Invite our angels and guides and ancestors and higher selves to come support this lovely episode. That feels better. Ooh, that feels better.
Yay. And I already lit the Palo Santo and I am smelling it and it smells good and I'm sniffing frankincense. So this segues into one of the things that I was downloaded into Whitney Lamb's brain from the angel realm was you need to do a ceremony for your land to settle it because there's been a lot of movement. My dad moved. We're shifting things around. We want to draw in the right people. So I just rented out the house this week, but that he moved out of. So I did the ceremony on the second day of showing the house to attract in the right person. And hold on, I really feel like I have to sneeze.
Go ahead and sneeze. Well, I will say too, when it comes...
Sorry. Sorry.
Bless you.
Thank you.
That was a good one. When it comes to ceremony, I like to think back to something that my teacher Beverly has said, where it's like magic is the combination of a high personal vibration. So you're like raising your own vibration and a very clear intention. And those two together, then you can create magic and miracles. Like it's very simple.
High personal vibration.
And a clear intention. And I feel like when it comes to ceremony, that's what's so powerful about ceremony is that the process of setting up a ceremony in and of itself starts to raise your own vibration. And then you're doing your ceremony, ideally, for a very clear intent. So you have both this high personal vibration and this clear intent. And so then the process of initiating ceremony and stepping into ceremony starts to open up the magic.
That makes
by its
so much
very
sense.
Nature. Yeah.
For all of the ceremonies that I've done in my lifetime.
Yeah.
Okay. So yeah, that makes sense. And I also want to say, like, I don't feel that I always was moved to put so much energy into ceremony. And that kind of came from friends that were all about it. Like ceremony equaled celebration, but the intention part, like here's the intention and here's what we're doing. So ceremony became learned behavior for me. Okay. But it resonates so much, but I don't know, it's not a go-to. Like, it's like, oh yeah, that makes sense. I'll do that. But it's not my go-to.
Well, I think the other part of it is that ceremony can feel very complicated, where it's like, oh, I've got to, like so you did this ceremony and we were talking about it as you were like getting ready to do it. And you sort of were getting in your head about it. Like, I'm supposed to go to the northwest corner. Is it this northwest corner or is it this northwest corner? Like all of that. And I just kept being like, go to what feels right. Because I do think there is this sense of like, I've got to gather all the correct things. I have to do this. And it's like, no, you have to get yourself to a good place and have a really clear intent and then do what feels right. And it's all going to unfold,
Right.
Because I think I also have resisted ceremony because it feels like, oh, it's this big process. But I don't think it has to be a big process. It can actually be very simple and short.
And that was not what I created. I didn't do a real simple short one, but it was, after talking to you, I was like, oh, today is the day. such a beautiful day. Like I was kind of waiting for the right day. It made sense with the timing, just with everything going on.
Hmm.
And then you kind of maybe can explain a little bit about different things that you suggested I collect. I'd already started collecting some stuff, but mine was like seeds from my garden because I wanted, part of it was abundance. Like I clipped some succulents because again, I'm offering this to, I'm coming through for the ceremony with an offering to this land. So I wanted to bring stuff that signified abundance and what I want to create here and what I want to, how I want it to flourish and all that kind of stuff was, um, and to like open up to let other energies that are going to do that in, you
Hmm.
know? So
Yeah.
you suggested some things though that maybe you can speak to.
Yeah. So, I mean, as you were collecting things, the frame that I gave you was just think of it as you're making an offering to your land. Like you're going to have a conversation with the land because that felt necessary to you. Like it felt like, because you're very rooted in your place and your land is very attached to you. And that's very obvious by the stuff that goes on there, right? And yet you're now at this place where you have to start detaching somewhat from the land and allowing the land to also detach from you and start to connect more to whoever the next person is that will also be sharing that space. And so your goal was like to go have this conversation and start that and talk to the land and chill it out and make it feel calm and ready for this transition. And so what I said was, well, you're going to start this conversation, you want to bring an offering, bring something to the land. And so when I think about offerings, especially to nature, I just think about how you can balance it out. So you're going to have things that grow, things that are animal related. I think about all the elements. So you're going to want a feather that represents air. You're going to want rock that represents earth. You're going to want maybe a shell to represent water. You're going to want something that feels sort of metallic to represent that metal element. Um, which one am I missing? Water. You want, what did we
You
have?
said shell.
Oh yeah, shell. Wait, which one am I missing? Earth, water,
Air,
air,
air.
fire. So then you need fire.
Fire.
So you need, of course, that's the one I forget. Like, wait, what's that one? Like a candle or matches or something like that, so that there is this balanced offering and you're feeding sort of all the parts of the earth.
And I loved that. And then it became really fun to gather. And I made this beautiful basket full of all of this stuff. And then for me, I like to like build the space. So I had to feel into the space of where it needed to be. And it just happened to be where I had it was this gigantic, well, not gigantic, what, like the size of a head, heart rock. And I was like, oh, I think this is a spot. I found it, I explored around. There were some better view spots. I was like, no, it's that heart rock spot. And from that, like made a little ceremonial space. But like, I art
Like an altar.
altar.
Mm-hmm.
I created kind of like an altar space, and I actually did partially burn some stuff, but I didn't burn all of it. But it was nice to add that fire element. And then I just sat with it, and I decided I'm going to write a letter to this land. And and then I burned the letter. And then I asked it, "Do you have any messages for me?" And I thought it wasn't going to produce a message.
Which is so funny to me.
I was just like, it's just happy that I came to have some gratitude and settling energy. And then I drew a card from my deck, and it was like I was just bawling through the whole thing. But it was really it's so personal that it's hard to like say this is what happened and then make it sound like it makes sense, right? Because it
Yeah.
doesn't really translate when you're
No.
experiencing a ceremony. It doesn't translate into our language. It's it's so much about feeling. It's so you're using parts of yourself that are really your sixth senses almost. Like your regular senses and then your sixth sense. And that one is what's strongest, I feel, for me in the ceremony. So then to be articulated to even my husband or I mean, even you, even though I feel like you can receive it really well because you get it, I don't think it still doesn't translate all the way through, like
No.
the magic that occurs between whomever, whatever
Right.
is part of that ceremony.
Because I'm not in that ceremony. Like
Right.
I'm not there in that experience. Yeah. So you don't, it is really hard to convey the magic that is created in that sacred space when you're outside of that sacred space. And that's okay. That's sort of how it's meant to be, right? Because it's just
Right.
between you and whatever your intention is. So maybe that's another person, maybe it is land, maybe it's yourself. There's just, it's that container of the ceremony creates that experience for just those that are a part of it.
Yeah, and I wonder how it's interesting afterwards when you're like, when I feel like I want to have signs. Okay, this is a sign. This is the sign. This is it. So as I'm interviewing people that are coming, I felt certain that one couple was the couple because the elk emerged out of the woods when they arrived, and um, the person that I ended up having choosing for the land was so much obvious in so many other ways. Very first one to get me an application. I called her the 5-star review.
Right. Yeah.
She's getting 5 stars. But I don't think it's probably not right, but so far everything is 5 stars.
Hmm.
And it was so obvious, like removing myself, but I was kind of attached to these other feelings and connections. And you said to me, Kyla, when you are meeting with these people, you cannot choose them based off of their spirit self because you just love looking at their spirits.
Those
You have to
beautiful
choose them
souls.
based off of their human selves, please.
Their
Human
crazy flawed
selves.
meat suit that's going to be
They have
sharing land with
flaws.
you.
You
Yeah.
want not their, but I will say my land was like, oh no, we really like this. We like this person here
Hmm.
that's physically here and has really good energy. I was like, me too.
Hmm. Yeah.
But I couldn't ignore 5 star. So I kept getting the knocks like, go back to 5 star review. Go back to 5 star review. We're giving you 5 stars. We're telling you this is the one. 5 star
It
review.
it is possible that you and your land are similar in your love for beautiful souls.
Yes,
Where you're
very
like, "Oh, this is
possible.
exciting. Look at that." And that's good and it's important. And also, your land trusts you to also pick the person who will properly steward that
The
space.
land, the space.
Yeah.
And it's, yeah, so anyway, it was really a cool experience. And you were supposed to do a ceremony, but your ceremony hasn't, this timing isn't right.
No, it was so interesting because so your ceremony was going to be very specific to you and your land. And then I was like, I also need to do a ceremony that is more about connecting with my own soul. And on the day that you did your ceremony, I was like, okay, well, maybe I'll do mine today too. But then when I really felt into it, I was like, no, this is not the day. The day I should do it is Thursday, which was yesterday. It was a new moon and everything. And then the universe was actually like, sorry, no, we're not going to do that today because my child ended up being home and I would have had to squeeze it in and really rush it. Um, and then I was like, well, maybe I'll do it this morning. And then I woke up this morning and I was like, oh God, no, it's not today either, which is interesting because I was excited to do it, but now I'm like, okay, I'm gonna wait. The right day is gonna happen. Um, but what I recognize is, and we talked about this yesterday when I was like, well, maybe I'll try and squeeze it in. And it's like, you can't squeeze it in. You can't squeeze ceremony in, even if it's going to be a brief thing. Again, if you think about, you have to have this high personal frequency and the intention. And if I'm trying to squeeze something in, my frequency is like drops through the floor because I'm like, I got to do it fast. I got to do it.
Mm,
You can't. You have to be in this open, expansive state. And so this wasn't my week for that. But I think that that's also a part of trusting the process because you you had other things that you were supposed to do that day. And you were like, no, that I'm not doing those today. Today is the day that I have to do the ceremony. And I was like, no, today's the day I'm going to do the ceremony. But then the universe was like, actually, no, today you have to be a mother and a lifer. And so it's like, okay, I'm going to trust the day will come.
Totally. And I feel like it really did take pause because this was November when I was when the information downloaded, like you need to do this process to attract in what you want
Right.
here
Yeah.
and to settle the land. But this
Yeah.
is the process. And she didn't say anything about a time frame, but that was because now we're at the end of February. That was several months away, and I've been thinking about it, and it just
Mhm.
was never the right. And then on that day, it was like, it's today.
Right.
And it was such a clear it's today. I was like, oh my God, it's today, and I'm going to start gathering. Like I've already been collecting these things, and now it's for real.
Hmm.
And then everything kind of flowed and went together and opened up. And I think I told you this, but when I was sitting in this particular spot, it's so beautiful. And I just do love like taking a time out, going out on this land and reminding myself of how beautiful it is because it's so quiet and peaceful. And when the sun's out, like when I am at that place, and I said this to land, when I am here, like I'm here right now, and there is no other place in the world I want to be.
Hmm.
And how many times in your life are you like, I would rather be A, B, C, doing
Right.
A, B, C, D, E, F, G.
Yes.
But in that point where it like brought me there, and I'm baking in February sun in the winter in Southwest Colorado, like that's maybe not always the norm here.
Right.
But the ground is dry, there's snow in spots, but it was just like so nourishing to have the sun and be on the earth that was warm and I was like, yeah, and it's quiet everywhere. And
Hmm.
I'm not like being bombarded I did not take my phone. I was like, I don't care who needs me. That part I really hesitated. Like, what if someone needs me? And I was like, I didn't used to have to take like my cordless phone with me everywhere I went, like, or a corded, like, no,
And you're not going to be gone for
nobody
3 days either.
right now. And I don't even care if they do. But it's so funny how tied we are to like being connected when really we can really just disconnect and reconnect into a bigger thing, you
I
know?
know. And I do think that that's really important for the process of ceremony too. That is because again, raising your frequency to a point where you're ready to really step into magic, you can't be all like part way here and part way also like, oh, but my kid might need me. That's why like me trying to fit it in while my kid is at home
No,
after he got sent home sick from school. It's like I'm not going to be here in this ceremony. I'm going to be partly here and partly like hope everything's okay. But you talking also about how you've collected things over the past few months since you've known you had to do this ceremony. It's interesting because when I headed into my office yesterday, I have this raven figure that I was using as part of that shaman training that I was doing. And I've had it in my house for the past few months. And I did like it in my house. But as I went to my office yesterday, I was like, I have to take that with me to the
mm,
office. And then I had to find the place for it in my office. And once I put it there, I was like, oh, that's powerful. I like that. And I have a friend who is an artist who is creating a art piece specifically for my space, and it's beautiful. And there's a part of me also that's like, oh, maybe because I knew I have to do it in my office, not at my house, that it has
mm.
to happen at my office. And so it's also maybe that process of like, oh, okay, the space is almost ready for this ceremony, but maybe there's a few more things that need to be pulled in to create the right energy for it to happen. So you can't rush it.
You can't rush it.
You can't be like,
No.
I'm scheduling my ceremony for Thursday at 9. The universe will be like, ah, no, you're not. But you really came out of that ceremony so expansive, I felt like it really was. It shifted a lot of things for you.
I definitely felt a little settled. Like I was like, oh, there was kind of this uh that whole feeling, this or better. It's got to be
Mhm.
this or better. you know?
Well, yeah, and I don't know how much you want to share about it, but it did feel like the land sort of gave you a message of thank you, and you have to go on to your next big adventure,
Totally.
which like gives me chills just to say that, but also how beautiful that is.
It did. It feels like a like I received a blessing of the land too. Like I know. And you have to, and you know,
Hmm. And the land is also like, and I have to.
and I have
I
to.
I have to
And
take
we
this.
need to have the next person that's going to come in here and be like, I cannot
Exactly.
wait, you
Yeah.
know?
Yeah.
So, in so many ways, it was very good.
It was so good. I look forward to my own, and we can do a part two where I share my process
Yes, we
experience.
need a part two. I'm very curious what unfolds from that.
I'm very curious too. I can't wait to see what my soul has to say.
And I think once you get to that quiet place, you will hear her loud and clear,
Hmm.
which is probably why she's like, I don't want to be interrupted.
I don't want to
It's
be
not today.
interrupted.
I need your full attention, bitch.
I know. I think also there is like a lack of clarity for me on how it needs to happen. And I was
Mm,
just saying like you don't need to overthink it, but I think my intention is not fully defined yet. And so it's like I have to get clear on what my real intention is so that then I know how to conduct the ceremony in the right way.
So it's raise your frequency, high frequency,
High
and clear
frequency.
intention
Hmm.
is where you want to start with a ceremony.
Yeah.
And so some raising of frequency things for you that you do are what?
I would do chants for my chakras. So getting the chakras all awake and aligned. Oils can raise your frequency. Breath, deep breaths, all the things that we do at the beginning of the podcast to like get ourselves here and clear our minds. Those are all the things. But I also think the process, like for you, the gathering of the things and the preparing for magic, like that in and of itself is also just raising your frequency.
Right, it's building up the
Yeah.
building blocks to the kabam.
Yeah. And seeing also like because I could see you like moving through your space and being like, oh, this wants to be a part of it. And it's like that tuning into that bigger field too of like, wait, what needs to be involved in here? Or even like what wants to be involved in this? That also just raises your frequency because now it's not about you and your like little self. It's about this bigger picture of like what in the greater flow needs to be a part of this process.
Right.
Magic.
Super, super cool. This is so cool.
I know. But I do think that the idea of like magic, it actually is really simple.
I think it's so simple that people don't even realize when they're doing it.
No, definitely not.
But I feel like it's more powerful when you realize that you can do it and then you can use it to sort of not direct, attract
Hmm. Yeah.
what you want.
Yeah, I
You
think
know?
that's where the intention piece comes in because you can just have a high, like, I think gathering in a group of women who are all in a really having amazing fun time, that in and of itself raises your vibration high enough where you are automatically start doing magic. But you don't
Mm.
have maybe a clear intention of what you're doing. And so then it's like, okay, well, now let's focus ourselves around a clear intention. And then it's like, whoa, now we're
Yeah,
really
that can
cooking.
be real mind blowing when that happens.
Now we're cooking with fire. Exactly. Exactly. Okay. Well,
Okay, well, hey,
anything else?
I think it's time for you to hitch your wagon to a rainbow.
Do we want to share what we're grateful for this week? You had a great ceremony. That's probably part of it.
I just loved that ceremony so much.
Hmm.
Um, I'm really grateful that I had really sweet people come by to look at a house, and I was like, oh my gosh, I can't believe how much this is needed in our community. I wish I had enough houses to give to to provide to everybody at a reasonable price so that
I
people could
know.
live here.
It really is necessary there. It's like existential almost for the
Yeah,
community, I feel like. Yeah.
yeah. it felt it what it I wish that like it's still a win for us. So I feel good like creating these win-win scenarios. But my shocking and sad part is like how do people live here that firefighters and people that work at the Humane Society and like it's just not enough. I
That's
don't
why we left.
understand.
That's
I know.
why we left. A huge part of why we left. It was just untenable.
And it's like, well, what is gonna happen when all these people that do these jobs that we need to have in a community can't be here to do them? I mean, I guess you just have to raise the rates and what so that they can stay here, but
I don't know. Yeah, I
or
don't
you're like
know.
grandfathered in. I feel like we got grandfathered in.
Hmm. Yeah,
And then
but
that
so few people
so few
will
people.
have that happen.
Yeah.
And then there's no growth. Also, it's not like you can't attract new people to take over spots from the people who are leaving because the only people that can come in are like wealthy
Right.
individuals. Yeah, it's complicated. No, I think that what I think it's wonderful. I wish you had all the houses to give to
I wish I
everybody
had all
too.
the houses that I could be. And it felt really fulfilling to hear people come into the space and be like, it's there's a vortex here. It is mad. Like people said that, those words. There's some vortex energy here. Uh-huh. It's
Uh-huh.
so magic. It feels so good. I would just sleep on the deck and look at the stars. Like just, I think when you're in a space for so long, forget to see all of the things that
Mm,
are just really lovely about a space. So it was
yeah.
really nice to hear all those things,
Yeah.
you
It's
know.
so beautiful. Yeah, and that you get to find somebody who will really appreciate the land in the way that you want it to be appreciated. I mean, I think that's part of that
Right.
whole ceremony was like I really want to find someone who understands how special this place is.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. And then the hard part was telling people they didn't get it, you know. And then I
Yeah.
had somebody send me a text that was like, did I give her not the best
Reference.
reference? Because I would like to type that out better here now. And I was like, it wasn't your reference. It
Oh.
wasn't your reference. It was just not the, there was just,
Other
it was a
factors.
good fit and there was a better fit.
Yeah, that's so hard. That is
So
so
hard.
hard.
That's my prayer out to the people that are looking for places is that they find something perfect for their situation, for their budget, for their lifestyle, all the things.
Hmm.
What about you? That's my gratitude. I want
Mine.
to know yours.
So yesterday when I didn't get to do my ceremony, but I did go into my office because I had a session scheduled. And as I said, I brought that raven into the space and I was setting the space up and opening it. And then I like sat down to tune in to the woman who was coming in for a session. And it was just so easy and clear. And I was like, okay, this is what we're going to be working on. And then we had this session and it was really lovely and easy and fun and superbly supported by all of these beings and entities as we were doing the work. And as I closed my space out after that, I was like, I love my office so much. I love this space so much. I love, I think what I'm seeing is just as you like repeat that process over time in a space, how the energy starts to build and become more like the moment I call the angels in, they're like, I'm here we go. Like it's just the power of the space continues to build and grow. And I think that it's the coolest thing. And I think that's part of why when I do my ceremony, it has to happen there because the frequency of that space in and of itself has built so much that it allows me to very quickly rise my own energy and frequency up. And I just felt like, oh, this is such a luxury first to have like this space that is just mine,
Mm,
that I can create and cultivate exactly how I want it to be. Because, when you live in a house with your family, you don't always have that space. And it is, I just was really grateful for it. And because I live in Pittsburgh and things are relatively affordable, it's like not an expensive place. It doesn't stretch me financially, but it is like perfect for what I'm doing in this moment in time. And I just was so thankful to have that. And I get to walk there from my house. It's like 5 minutes from my house. And it was nice out. Just all of those things I'm so thankful for. So I felt a lot of gratitude for the universe setting that up, because when I got that office space, it very much felt like they were like, call this person and go see this, and oh, here's your office.
Oh, I love that.
Mm-hmm.
It's so true too. I feel like this is helpful because I feel spoiled that my space can just be outside. I'm like, let's go outside, and there's, but I love the idea that you could be in a city and you can create your little nest, your little cubby, and have it just hold really yummy energy in the middle of what might be filled with other kinds of chaos. And I don't know, cities just feel like chaos to me, like
Totally.
organized chaos.
Yeah.
So to be able to carve out, I feel similar to my space in Durango, my studio. It was just like this, it was such a downsize from where I was, but I was like, as soon as I walked in there, I was like, oh, I could do this here.
Yeah.
The light's right. I feel safe in here. So
Exactly.
It's interesting how that, it's great because then anybody can really access that if you put it out there that this is what I need. In the midst of this organized chaos, I need to
Totally
create a totally different vibe.
Totally. And the space that I went into, it's almost in the basement it's not like the basement. It's on ground level, but there's hills everywhere. So like you walk in the front and you walk downstairs, but it's on a hill. So you're on like the basement ground level. And it was being used. The person who owned the building was just storing shit in it. It was just an unused space that was holding clutter, which I think is so interesting because now it is so clean and clear. And as I was like opening it, I have these bells that I ring to like raise the frequency up. And I just had this sense of like me doing this in this little tiny space in this building is literally like rising up through the whole building and changing the frequency of the whole space. So that's cool. And then the other piece that you're saying, like you can have this little space that creates power. Because I've had other offices in the past, like you were in my office in Durango, and it was much bigger. And that felt harder for me because the energy had so much more space to fill. In this little tiny space, it all feels so contained that it feels like much quicker. You can just get the frequency up really high. So I actually have realized that a smaller space is better for me at this point in the work that I'm doing because it helps facilitate the feeling of the room because it's more contained.
Yeah. Oh, that's exciting. I want to go to that space. Have me over.
Come over.
Invite me over.
Come over today.
Work on me. Work on me. Work on me. Work on me.
Let's do it.
Let's do it.
All right. Well, that's all we got for you folks today.
Hey, hitch your wagon to a rainbow and
lower your frequency. Nope. Lower your expectations. Don't do that. Don't do that. We just spent a whole episode talking about raising your mood. Just drop it. Take it through the ground. Have some alcohol, some coffee. You'll be good.
It's Friday. You do what you want.
You want a low frequency? Drop it. What I meant to say was lower. Why can I not remember it right now? Because my brain. Lower your expectations, but raise your vibrations.
That's right. Raise your vibration.